And we are live here on Fireside Yankees. The New York Yankees have acquired Cody Bellinger. They've signed him to a 5-year, $162.5 million contract. We can actually talk about something that isn't just rumors when it comes to the New York Yankees. Cody Bellinger is back, and again, it is on a 5-year, $162.5 million contract. We're going to talk about everything with the New York Yankees and the Cody Bellinger stuff. Yes, it is finally over. The New York Yankees have finally, it's finally over. You don't have to sit here and do the rumor nonsense. If you're here on Fireside Yankees, we really appreciate your support. We're going to say what's doing more of we're on StreamYard just because we might have a guest later. So we're on StreamYard, so it's a little bit of a different look. But we'll have our comments up. Belly Bomb, Yankees Country, Ryan Garcia said, "What's up, man? How's it going?" It is me. Bit of an overpay, but we were literally his best fit. He's happy he's back. Yeah, I'm glad it's over, man. And I do agree. It's more than I would have given him, but it is what it is. Yeah, with the inflation, it's not going to look as bad next year if he plays all right. Yeah, look, and the opt-outs provide an incentive for him to play well. If he performs well, you only have him for 2 years, which I think is a win for the player and for the team in this kind of conversation. So there's that. It's finally over. Yeah. Kathy saying yes. Yep. People seem to be relatively excited, at least that it's over. But it got better. Amen. Let's go. Yeah. Again, I'm just glad it's over. Thankful saga's over. Ryan Weathers is no longer the big move. Yep. Omar's here. Feliciano. Now let's play ball. Who do you think we sign next? I think that's the big free agent move. I'm going to be honest. Not saying you don't trade for anybody, but I believe this is their big free agent move. We got the Wicked Cal here. And yeah, I completely understand, feeling a little bit kind of, I guess, like frustrated, just frustrated. Like there's an understanding to be frustrated about not landing Tucker, not having the kind of show-stopping offseason you've been looking forward to, or like that you hope for. But at the end of the day, the Yankees bring back Bellinger. That was a priority. Like that was a priority for them. And they got better. And getting better is an important part of this conversation. You've got to be trying to get better. Like that's at the end of the day what your goal has to be. And with this situation, the Yankees turn their attention to other things, but more importantly, it gives them some ability to either A, trade Jason, or B, kind of go along with what they're currently doing. Bellinger being back is an important piece. So the Yankees told you all winter they really wanted him back, and that they really wanted him to be their left fielder next year. But at the end of the day, this negotiation was starting to get a little bit ugly, and it was going to be drawn out. And we finally have a resolution. So I'm happy to have the resolution. Let me just tweet out that we're live. But this is definitely one of those moves where it's like, hey, you bring your guy back. It's part of what you need to do, and they did it. I can't believe this team didn't learn from the Ellsbury contract. I do believe they're fundamentally different free agents, and it's a fundamentally different contract. I know Jacoby Ellsbury peaked pretty high, but similar to Bellinger, it was clear that peak was not who he was. Like the Yankees signed Jacoby Ellsbury to a 7-year deal after he put up a 112 WRC plus and had a very base running inflated wins above replacement at 4.6. Bellinger signs a deal with 4.9 wins above replacement as a better hitter who has a more sustainable skill set than Ellsbury. The year prior, Ellsbury was an 84 WRC plus hitter. He was 16% worse than the league average hitter. So I do think there's a fundamental difference. And if you look at Ellsbury's career, it kind of been marred by, like, I know Bellinger also kind of marred by inconsistency in his career, but I don't believe they're the same player. I do not believe they're comparable baseball players or free agents or even free agent contracts. This is less years, which I do think is important in this conversation. Now, please, let's get Peralta next. I would love Freddie Peralta. We'll talk about that in a bit, but I think that the Yankees, again, when it comes to Cody Bellinger, this is not a contract you look at and go, wow, the Yankees stole Bellinger. Like Boris did well for himself. The free agent market clearly wasn't as active for Bellinger in terms of suitors as Boris had hoped, especially after last night. Luis Robert had kind of him being traded was the big deal. It's what changed everything. It's what made this a Yankees versus Bellinger or Boris, not Yankees and Mets versus for each facing each other for Boris and Bellinger. It changed the outlook of that negotiation significantly. That we were going to go live and talk about the farm system at 3, but we're not going to do that. So we'll do that maybe a different day. Maybe tomorrow we can talk about that. But today's going to be about Bellinger and what's next after that. So again, I think it's a situation where Cody Bellinger is on a deal that, look, isn't below. It's not like this is a contract you could trade immediately, but it's clearly a deal the Yankees are willing to offer. This had been the number they had out there for weeks. It was a number that Bellinger and Boras had kind of dwelled on for weeks. I guess it's $2.5 million more than the actual number that was expected for him. But again, Cody Bellinger's back, and the Yankees have made their outfield complete. It's the outfield they ran out last year. It was an outfield that finished as the best outfield in baseball. The Yankees are hoping for a similar outcome this year. Now, to answer this question real quick, are the opt-outs player ones? Yes, these are player options. These are player opt-outs, which means that he can test the market again. But I personally think he's not going to opt out. Like, that's my opinion on it. But if he plays well, that's good. And there is an incentive to play well, which I think is an important thing to have in this. So, again, I think this is a bittersweet almost moment where the Yankees bring back their guy, but you also just digested as a fan months of very ugly negotiations. So that has to be part of this too. It's not unreasonable as a Yankee fan to be like, hey, I'm not like through the roof about this. I expected this guy back. This had dragged out for weeks. It's about what they do outside of this and after this that'll determine my excitement. That's totally fair. There's a real like level of, all right, this is done. Finally, it's not the same as if they were to like trade for somebody else's guy or go out there and I guess like acquire a different player from a different team. This is a situation where, hey, they brought back their guy. And that's got to be part of the conversation too. But Bellinger had a successful year last year. He was a 5-win player. He was their second best player in terms of wins above replacement. He's a really good defensive player. He was the best free agent on my board after Kyle Tucker, who I really wanted. I wanted Kyle Tucker back. I'll never back away from that. I'll always sit here and tell you I wanted Kyle Tucker, and that's the guy I want. But at the end of the day, if you weren't going to get Kyle Tucker, Bellinger was the best player you could get in this class, in my opinion, given the Yankees roster. You could argue maybe Alonso's a better player. I don't think Alonso's a better player. You could argue Schwarber's a better player, but obviously the Yankees were not going to pay a DH, and I didn't have any interest in them paying a DH either. Those all these kinds of things are, at the end of the day, like part of this conversation, which is what was out there, what the Yankees could have done with that money. And I think that Bellinger is probably the best thing you could have gotten outside of Kyle Tucker for this team, given their needs. Left field is a much worse position than third base, I think, for the Yankees, because it's Jason and they don't even have a platoon guy to go with Jason. They can't hit lefties in that scenario. That's where I'm at. We have a super chat here. Us defeating Scott Boras is as good as winning a World Series. I don't think we beat Scott Boras. I think we gave Scott Boras a contract that Bellinger should be happy with. That's my opinion. I don't think that this was a situation where the Yankees, got like they robbed the player. I think that the player got what he should have gotten. So, now I do want to address this comment. I wish Schwarber was at DH. Dude can slug. The F you talking about. So I don't know if you guys are aware of the fact that Giancarlo Stanton is currently the DH, or not you guys. I don't know if you're aware of the fact that Giancarlo Stanton is currently the DH, and they're not going to put Giancarlo Stanton in the outfield. So especially left field and Judge in center field, or like Stanton in right field, Judge in center. And that's not happening. So they're not cutting Stanton right now. So yeah, that's kind of where that was. What righty bat makes sense to add now? I still think Austin Hayes makes a lot of sense for the Yankees. I still think he makes a ton of sense for the Yankees. And I think like they should go out and acquire him. They should go and acquire Austin Hayes, because I think he works well with Dominguez as more of an expendable piece right now. And I think that when you look at what he brings to the table, you can have the Yankees put him in left field and put Bellinger in center field against lefties, and Grisham in center field against righties, and Bellinger in left field against righties. I think that's what I would do if I was the Yankees, but that's not here nor there. Go get Peralta and Horner. Peralta is available. I don't think Nico Horner is available. Like, I don't think Nico Horner is necessarily available. I don't believe the New York Yankees are going to get Nico Horner, because I don't think the Cubs are that motivated to trade for him or trade him away, because think about the situation with the Yankees and with Nico Horner and the Cubs. The Cubs shortstop is Dansby Swanson. Their second baseman is Nico Horner, and their third baseman's Alex Bregman. You could, in theory, just sign, or if you're the Cubs, you could trade Horner and say, well, we weren't going to extend him anyways. Well, you're trying to win a World Series this year. You're trying to win a World Series, right? Is that not what you're trying to do? You're trying to win the World Series if you're the Cubs. So why would you end up trying to do that? Why would you end up doing that? Like, that doesn't, I don't know. I feel like for the Cubs, it doesn't make any sense to make yourself that much worse for prospects. That's kind of where I'm at with this. So from the Cubs standpoint, I don't think it makes any sense. From the Yankees standpoint, obviously it makes a whole ton of sense. Nico Horner is an incredible fit for the roster because you can put him at shortstop. He's right-handed. I know that Volpe's right-handed. You're going from, the same amount of righties to the same amount of righties, but you're increasing the quality of right-handed bat in your lineup, which I think is very important for this. Ryan, how would you rate this offseason out of 10 right now? That's a great question. So you brought back Bellinger, you traded for Ryan Weathers, you brought back Grisham, you brought back Yarbrough, you brought back Blackburn. I think it's a C+. It's pretty okay. Like, they did what they were supposed to do. Add a starter, add two outfielders, and bring in some depth. They haven't done everything. They've done the things they're supposed to do. They still have more work to do to give it a really strong offseason. We have a big super chat here from David Lenhart. David, thank you so much. Really appreciate it, man. Lombard and Jones for Horner and Belly bat in front of Judge. He might drive in 160 runs. I think that this would be an offer that gets a deal done with the Cubs, but I don't think the Yankees are trading George Lombard Jr. for 1 year of Nico Horner. I completely understand if you love Nico Horner to that degree. I am in love with Nico Horner as a player. I think he is one of the best infielders in the game, and not enough people give him his respect for being that. But I personally don't think the Yankees would be trading what is considered to be their number one or number two prospect, depending on how you view Dax Kilby. I really doubt that they would make that deal. Now, if you're here, can you please help us reach 100 likes? We're going to be going live for a good bit. And again, we're on StreamYard because we might be getting a guest later on in the show to talk more about Cody Bellinger and what's next for the Yankees. I'm going to send you guys a Q&A in the chat. But David, I want to thank you again. You're the man. Really appreciate it, dude. And yeah, man, I really appreciate it. I really, really, really appreciate it, dog. I really do. So I'm going to ask you, chat, and I think it's a good question. Who would you guys acquire next? If you're the New York Yankees, you're Brian Cashman. Who's the next player you would acquire? Keep it realistic. No Fernando Tatis, no Tarek Skubal, no Paul Skeens. I'd even say don't say Nico Horner, but I'll leave that one open. You can say Horner if you want. But no, nothing crazy. Who's the next player that you would get if you're the New York Yankees? We've got Peralta, Steven Kwan. I don't think Steven Kwan makes sense for the roster given that they have Grisham and Bellinger back. Peralta is the popular one right now for Heel and Jason, a leadoff hitter, or Freddie Peralta. Seems to kind of be that seems to kind of be what the consensus is, right? Joe Ryan, Peralta or Gore, Hayes. I think that means Austin Hayes. Peralta, McGill. I like McGill. That's a good piece. Bullpen. All right. Jarren Duran. No, I want nothing to do with Jarren Duran, Owen. Nothing to do with Jarren Duran. Joe Ryan. Yeah, I think, again, these are all really good potential additions outside of Joe Ryan. Not Joe Ryan. Outside of Jarren Duran. I personally would not have anything to do with Jarren Duran of the New York Yankees. No offense to Jarren Duran. Actually, all offense to Jarren Duran. I'm going to be honest. Alcantara, Peralta, McGill, Correa. Don't think they're going to trade for Correa. Ryan Jeffers. I think Ryan Jeffers makes a heap of sense for the New York Yankees. He is I think it makes all the sense in the world to acquire Ryan Jeffers because Ryan Jeffers could help, but and he's a catcher and he hits lefties really well, but the issue is that he's a starting catcher, and I'm sure that there's another team that will view him as a starting catcher and give the price of a starting catcher. And I think, again, I personally don't view the Yankees is a team that's going to pay a lot in a trade for a backup catcher, but that's just my opinion. I could be wrong. I hope I'm wrong because Ryan Jeffers would be sick. Peralta, Romero, and Trevino, Andrew Nardi. We do not need Gore. He's highly overrated. I like Mackenzie Gore. I can't lie. Brendan Donovan. I think you need a reliever and a starter. I think, reliever probably should come first. So yeah, I think that's a pretty fair way to look at it. Connor Norby, I think he got cut. No, or like, is Connor Norby available? I don't know. That's a good question. Besides Peralta, where does trading Dominguez make sense? And that's an important conversation. Chat. Where are we kind of at with this? Because Jason Dominguez, it feels like Jason's going to get traded. I feel like that's like a feeling I have. I don't think it's forced, but I think it's going to happen. I think that Jason Dominguez is a player you can get value for, but I guess my question to chat is, would you trade Jason Dominguez? And I'm going to send a poll here, so you guys will have the ability to answer in the poll, and we'll be able to kind of keep track. Would you trade Jason Dominguez is kind of the situation. Would you rather, this isn't going to be in the poll, I'll just kind of let you guys tell me this like off rip. Would you rather trade Jason Dominguez or Spencer Jones? Is also the other part of this conversation. It absolutely depends on the return. They're rooting Jason by not playing him. Well, I think Grisham's a better center field. Well, Jason isn't a center fielder. I think Jason wasn't going to compete with Grisham for center field reps. And I think Bellinger is a better player. So, yeah, that's kind of where I'm at with this. Trade Jones, bring up Jones. I would trade both. I'll trade him because he still has value in the market, likely as a corner outfielder, but I also feel bad for him. He has no role with us. I feel bad for him too because I don't think he's a bad player. I don't think he's a player who the Yankees should be like throwing to the curb. Like if there's a world where you can keep him, you should keep him. I don't see a reason why the Yankees should be forcing it. They shouldn't be forcing it. But at the end of the day, there is a little bit of that like, man, I don't know, man. I don't want to force a trade of Jason, but I do think that you have to keep that option now available because I don't know what they're going to end up doing. They don't view him as a center fielder. I don't think they're going to play him in center field. So there's that. Heyman just posted the full Belly details per season. We'll read those over. And after I read these over, these contract details, it's $20 million signing bonus, 32.5 and 26, 27 is 5.8, and then 28 and 29 is 25.9. We're going to now bring in a special guest, the one, the only, Sam Lucchini. Sam, got the wrong media asset for us here, but how you doing, my man? I don't know if you can hear me over there, but I hope you're doing well, bro. I don't know if you can hear me.
Hey, what's up, dude? How are you?
What's going on? How we doing?
Yeah, how are we doing? I don't know what's happening. I lagged out there for a second. How do you address these people? Do you call everybody chat in here like you're a Twitch streamer?
Yeah, I just say chat. Just say chat.
Chat. We're back. Oh my God. Are you kidding me? Thank God, man. It is January 21st, and the Yankees have done step one. Step one is now in the books. Cody Bellinger, welcome back to the Bronx. Ryan, what's up, dude? How are you feeling? What's the reaction?
I mean, I was driving back from campus when this happened, and I want you guys to be aware of something. I had told Sam yesterday, Cody Bellinger is going to actually. Can I read the exact text I sent?
Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm going to find this exact text. I tell Sam, hold on, him waiting to sign just for it to happen inconveniently. Oh, no, excuse me. This is it. I'm superstitious as shit, so I fully believe he's going to sign when one of us aren't home. He signed when I was not home because, of course, that happened. I was driving and I get a text and I pull over because I knew exactly what the text was when like I get like 5 texts right after and I start texting you guys like he just signed. And then I proceeded to drive like 70, 80 miles per hour on the way home on the highway. So that's not too bad, right? That's not too bad. It's not atrocious. It's not like amoral, I imagine. I wasn't the fastest person on the highway, but gotta get back for the stream. But dude,
and you pulled over to tweet, which was like awesome. You pulled over
right,
to tweet,
exactly. That was a very that was a wrap.
I beat you to it.
Yes,
I beat you to it because we were good. I was ready to go, dude. Like I was at the computer. We were ready to fire. You know what I mean? But
yeah.
What's your initial reaction to the signing? Like with the numbers and stuff like that. I know it's a little bump up from the 162.5 that we kind of expected or like saw out there that was reported. I'm kind of comfortable with that number. How are you feeling?
We knew it was going to be 160 if they signed him, right? So in my mind, it's all right. You signed him for the number you said you're going to sign him for 2 weeks. I think it's a good contract for the player. I think the player did well for himself. He got a $20 million signing bonus. He gets $162 million. He gets 2 opt-outs. Like I thought this was an incredibly good contract for Bellinger to sign, but for the Yankees, I'm glad they didn't do here's a 6th year and we'll lower the AAV. Like that was the thing I was scared they were going to do. And at some point yesterday, I was kind of panicking. Like, are they going to lose him? Like, do you just give in and do it at that point? I even asked in the live stream yesterday, would you just give in and give him that extra year? I think that once Luis Robert signed, Scott Boras saw that on his phone and proceeded to go and just was like, you got to be shitting me. Like, we got to get this done, I guess. So, it's funny that Robert trade kind of changed everything. Until Robert got traded, I was kind of like, is he actually going to leave us for the Mets? I don't know how you feel, man.
Yeah, that to me last night kind of immediately fired out like, oh, like they're going to get Bellinger back. Like he's not going to go to the Mets because like at that point they're kind of crowded out there. I don't even necessarily know like how he'd fit in. Like obviously they could still go out there and sign Bellinger again if they wanted to, but after trading for Robert, it didn't really seem like they were still into those waters. I'm super happy that they didn't give in with the 6th year. I really like the comparison that Joel Sherman made yesterday about the DJ LeMahieu contract and how that kind of dragged out, very similar to this, and like how that was a 6-year deal that went to 90 and they still have that money on the books for the next year. So I'm kind of glad that they kept it where it was at. I'm comfortable with the number. Bellinger did well for himself. I think he's going to be a good player for the next couple of years for the Yankees. He's the 5th highest paid outfielder in the sport now, Ryan. That fact to me is unbelievably crazy. Do you think that he is worth that figure? Like that fact in and of itself is kind of nuts that he's the 5th highest paid outfielder, because I don't think he's the 5th best outfielder in the sport. I don't think he's really close to that.
And I agree. Like the way I look at things with Cody Bellinger and really with this entire negotiation process is he was never going to be the 5th best outfielder in baseball. Like he's not. He's just not. The contract the Yankees offered, again, is fairly player friendly, I think. And the thing you always have to look back on is it's kind of like with the NBA or the NFL. When a guy gets paid, like a quarterback gets paid, in 3 years, their contract is going to seem pretty like insignificant. But I think that the Yankees knew they were going to have to pay a lot of money to get this guy back. And Bellinger was going to be more valuable to the Yankees than any other team in the league outside of maybe the Phillies. I'm kind of like Sam, I'm going to be honest. I'm stunned. That wasn't the team that we were like shaking our boots over all winter. I'm really kind of shocked that it was the Mets that gave us the most scare, considering how bad the fit is for that ballpark. So,
yeah,
again, his skills make the most sense here.
Early conversations about Philadelphia our early conversations in November were very much like he is perfect for Philadelphia. I feel like he fits in so well. They've had outfield issues for years, but they opted to go for Adolis Garcia, and Dave Dombrowski came out yesterday and said that we're content with where we are. So, like, at that point, I was like, okay, I guess Philadelphia is not in this mix. And then obviously what happened with the Mets last night. But I think this is a good get for the Yankees at the end of the day, realistically. I mean, obviously it's January 21st and we've kind of dragged this out and we've been waiting for forever on it. But at the end of the day, this is a good player that contributed to a very good Yankee team last year that had an awesome year with his first year in pinstripe. So I think that at the end of the day, he makes his team better. When you look at what this offense is going to run back from 2025. I mean, statistically around there, the best offense in the American League. So if you're going to run back that exact same offense and you're going to expect that, some guys who had, subpar years like a Volpe or a Wells that like weren't what you expected them to be, could then now have the opportunity in 26 to be a little bit better. So I think that when you tack on Bellinger onto this lineup, it looks a lot prettier than we were talking about a couple weeks ago with the doomsday scenario of like bringing in Austin Hayes and like doing a Hayes Dominguez platoon. I feel like we would not be huge fans of that. But at the end of the day, he makes this team better. I'm comfortable with the figure. I think that the next thing for the Yankees is what's the next play? Are you going to go out and trade for a big name starting pitcher? Are you going to bolster bullpen? Like, the problem here is it's step one and it's January 21st and we don't necessarily have a lot of wiggle room. But what do you think is the next play for the Yankees this offseason?
Well, actually, there was a comment that I think is something I want to propose to you as almost a question. So I'm gonna this is actually pretty funny. Someone suggested we trade for Jaron Duran still, and the first thought that came to is I'm gonna tennis racket this to you. So yeah. Kind of poor timing there, but would you trade Dominguez, one of Warren and Heel, and prospect for Freddie Peralta now that the Yankees have Cody Bellinger back? Are you willing to trade those two cost-controlled major league players and prospects for Peralta?
Yeah, I think you're comfortable with Heel and Warren, right? I think that conversation has kind of already been, like, we've talked about that for weeks at this point. We trade Luis Heel and Will Warren. I'm not a huge Luis Heel fan. I really haven't ever been. Will Warren, I mean, but it's cost controlled. Like, they're young starting pitchers that are under control, right? So, like, that's Major League Baseball teams love that as value. I think the larger question then comes in with Jason Dominguez. And now you look at your 2026 outfield is going to be Grisham, Bellinger, Judge, right? Your 2027 outfield, you don't know if you're going to have Grisham back, but then like you're kind of picking straws between Dominguez and Jones as far as like, well, who's going to come up and be that guy? They are not comfortable playing Jason Dominguez in center field. And if they're not comfortable playing Jason Dominguez in center field, and you now already have your left fielder for presumably the next 5 years, I don't necessarily think there's really a spot for him. And I don't think Dominguez wants to sit on the bench for the next 3 or 4 years while everybody else is playing ahead of him. So I think that while there is some sort of semblance of value here, I think that, yes, 110%. If you trade those 3 guys out to Milwaukee, go get Freddie Peralta, and you create this like super rotation with Fried, Peralta, whatever Cole is when he comes back, whatever Rodon is when he comes back, Schlittler, and then you have a like just slew of starting pitching that you can deal from as well. So that's a big thing that I think that got lost this offseason is just the starting pitching depth that they now have, especially after trading for Ryan Weathers. They have like 10 guys that they can like go after and throw out on a daily basis when they're all healthy. So yeah, I think that they should 100% pluck from that. And I think that the Yankees were probably waiting on Bellinger to be able to make Dominguez available for trade, because if they traded Dominguez and that was their left fielder penciled in right, like as we spoke before they signed Cody Bellinger, you kind of show the rest of the league your hand. You're like, hey, we have to sign Cody Bellinger to this unbelievable contract. You show Scott Boras your hand. Yeah, we have to overpay for Cody Bellinger now. We don't have a guy that can play out there every single day. So I think that, yeah, Dominguez now opens himself for some interesting trade conversations. And obviously the top of the market is a Freddie Peralta. So, yeah, 10 times out of 10, we're going to do that. No doubt about it. And I'm assuming that you're probably on the same wavelength as me there.
Yeah, the way I look at it is I would, first and foremost, I would take the offer and shop around and see what other pitchers are available, just because you're trading a lot of cost-controlled pieces. Depends on the prospect that you're trading in that deal. But if it's like Dominguez and Heel, I would do that in a heartbeat. That's not even a conversation to me. Those are expendable pieces on your roster now. The one thing I will say with Freddie Peralta is that I do not look at him as an extension candidate, which I keep telling people, because while yes, he is willing to extend, most likely the takedown price is probably not $100 million. He's got to look at what Dylan Cease got and go, I want that money. And if you're going to give out that money, dude, might as well wait the year out and go through to Tarek Skubal's looking for. Like, I know people are going to say like there's no shot they're in, and I get being pessimistic on that, but the Yankees' attendance on like super elite once in a decade free agent players is pretty good. Harper's the only guy they never really seriously met with in that group of uber elite free agents. And if I were to power rank free agents of the last like the top guys, I'd put Judge, Cole, Ohtani, Soto, and Skubal ahead of Harper at that point in time. Just like how good they were when they hit the market. I expect them to give a call to Skubal. I expect them to have a meeting with Skubal. It would be stupid to not have it. So that's why, like Peralta, the only worry I have is that another team will look at him and go, like the Orioles, we have no interest in signing Skubal. We can't afford Skubal, but we do have an interest in trading for Peralta and paying a Dylan Cease contract. Like that's my only concern there. But Sam, with the pitching in mind, and even with Jason Dominguez in mind, like I kind of want to keep this on Jason. I'll ask you one more pitching question. Are you forcing a trade of Jason Dominguez with Cody Bellinger back? Or if the market does not give you what you want for Jason, are you cool just keeping him?
No, I don't think you need to feed him out just because. I think that what he can give you off the bench and even playing a couple times a week is still going to give you something. I think that he's still super valuable in the base paths. I think that he's still valuable as a left-handed hitter. I'm not looking at the market right now and like forcing Jason Dominguez out because I like need to call up Spencer Jones or like need to bring in another bench bat that's going to give me value. I'm perfectly okay with him being a left-handed hitter that's going to play, like once or twice a week, that's going to platoon out and like be okay and like give Grisham a day off here, give like Bellinger a day off here. If like Judge wants to DH or like there's a weird situation where like Stanton's hurt again. So like somebody then has to play in the outfield every single day. And then it's like just kind of gross. So if the market's not going to give you what you want from a Jason Dominguez value standpoint, I don't think they need to force him out particularly, but I do think that they should put him at the center of their trade conversations right now and see what they can get out of him totally value-wise. Also, another tap back on Freddie Peralta. Would you be surprised if Freddie Peralta got a max-free contract? I think that like makes – I think that that's like right where I'm looking at Freddie Peralta next offseason.
I wouldn't be stunned. I mean, again, I'm not trying to dog on Dylan Cease. Like, I actually like Dylan Cease a healthy bit, but he did get 7 years, $210 million, some deferred money in there. I'm sure the present day salary is a little less like eye-popping, eye-catching. I don't have it directly in front of me, but I think it's around $170 million. But
yeah,
the free got what, 8.2, is it 8,200, 8,210, 8,214?
it's I think it's 8,216.
Okay, so yeah, that, like, I think Peralta gets a little less than that, but that wouldn't shock me if he got it. I mean, the thing with Peralta is that the ERA's always been shiny, the strikeouts are always shiny. He's not an old free agent. He's not an incredibly young one. Like, he's not 22 or 25 or 27 even. He's going to be a 30-year-old free agent, but you're going to get him for age 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37. Like, that right there, 7-year deal makes sense. Like 7, 8 years. I expect him to get like more money than I think people are expecting because of the fact that, well, he got a really cheap extension initially, but that's not the same situation here. Taking guaranteed money when you're 24 versus taking guaranteed money when you are a year away from free agency are two different things. I talk about this with Jazz too. Like, the takedown price when you're a year away is insanely high. So I do expect Carl to get paid, dude. I expect him to get paid. Now, the one thing I do want to note in Bellinger's contract is these details just came out. $85 million of this deal is being paid to Bellinger before his first opt-out, which I don't think is a coincidence. So
it's after the second year, correct? So it's front-loaded?
Yeah, so the first 2 years of this deal is getting $85 million up front. 85 of the total of this deal, which is about 182 because of the signing bonus. So
40. Oh, okay. So the signing bonus plus. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
So if he opts out, he will be essentially opting out of 3 for like, I don't think it's 3 or for 100, but it's something it's going to be less than what you would average out on paper. So the back of the napkin math suggests that the opt out is set up in a way to incentivize him to leave, which I think is the right way to do it, because Sam, if Cody Bellinger plays 2 years of this contract, it's a massive success. And he doesn't play anything after those 2 years, huge success. Big win for the Yankees. And I'd have no interest in bringing him back after the fact. Is that crazy? Am I crazy on that one?
No, not at all. I think that they can go back out in the market and like find a new guy. And I think that was something that scared us, was that we were going to have him for 7 years. I think that Cody Bellinger at 7 years, when he outlasts Aaron Judge on a particular contract, is like super scary to us as a fact, because we don't think he's going to age super well at that point in time, like by the 5th year. So for them to incentivize it for him to only play 2 years and then opt out again, I think that that's unbelievable work by Cashman and Co., especially front loading with the signing bonus. So I'm completely comfortable with it. I think that that's probably the best way to do it. And we kind of talked about it last night as far as if the Mets, pulled the 3 for 126 that was reported out there for Cody Bellinger, the exact same contract that Bo Bichette got. We were like, match it and go. Like, we'll take that for the 3 years. We'll take the hit for 3 years, because it's not 7 years of Cody Bellinger. I'm comfortable with it at 2 years on the current deal. And then the situation that we were talking about last night, we're fine with it at 3 years. So yeah, I think that they did an awesome job with this deal, front loading that money, because it then incentivizes him to go out in the market and like get something else. And like, we'll kind of see what happens and what he is over the next 2 years, if he can get more value like for himself at that point in time. But yeah, I think that they did an awesome job here, Ryan. I think that they did great here.
Yeah, look, again, free agency is, look at every free agent contract signed. And I said this because I tweeted this out this morning of like, in hindsight, Trent Grisham kind of screwed himself by not hitting free agency. He really did. I think he did. This idea, like the way that we view how much a player is worth on a year-to-year basis has to become more dynamic. I think that's the thing I've learned from this offseason, because on the surface, Bichette isn't worth $42 million, but you're paying more for less term. And that's where all these organizations and front offices are going towards. It's not, hey, let's give out these longer deals to lower the AAV. It's, hey, let's give out these very big AAV numbers, but let's do it over shorter term. Bellinger got less term than I think a lot of people expected, especially after Alonso got 5 years at an older age and Bregman got 5 years at an older age. This is where we're moving towards. Tucker got $60 million. Is Kyle Tucker a $60 million player? Is he better than Juan Soto and Aaron Judge and Shohei Ohtani and all these other dudes? No, but when you're avoiding having to pay 10 years for a guy, you're willing to take that hike. I think for the Yankees, again, the biggest mistake they could have made was being on the hook for 3 dead years of Cody Bellinger, which I think he would have gotten with a 7-year deal. They learned from the DJ thing, which I think is a big thing from this negotiation. I got crazy DJ vibes the whole time. I felt like, especially towards the end, it was like, they're going to give this guy a 6th year, aren't they? And I'm really going to hate this contract. So, yeah, I think that's what I took away from this negotiation and the offseason as a whole.
Well, there's that, and I think that there's another 2 deals that you can kind of point to, because I think that the Yankees are kind of sick of having dead money on their books. I think they're kind of sick of having to release guys that are, completely past it, and they kind of have to eat the money because the player's wasting a roster spot, right? We've talked a lot about DJ LeMahieu, but another one is an Aaron Hicks, who was on the hook for 7 years, 70. They had to release Josh Donaldson by the end of his career because he was just simply wasting a roster spot, and they were just spending too much money. It makes sense, and it's great from the Yankee perspective that they were able to learn from these previous mistakes that they've made, contractually. So I'm perfectly comfortable with the deal. And another thing that I will say is that I'm proud of them for not bending the knee to Scott Boras and getting a 7th year. That was really scary because we've been talking about this, Ryan, for at least 4 weeks at this point in time, that Boras wasn't going to budge, that he wanted that 7th year, that they wanted this opt-out, that they wanted this, they wanted that. But at the end of the day, we got the opt-outs, and we're comfortable with it. We're perfectly okay with it because of the signing bonus on top. They didn't get that 6th or 7th year that they were asking for, and they ended up getting a deal done. So I'm impressed, like, to a T with what they were able to do with this contract and with the player. So, Cody Bellinger, welcome back. I love the deal. I love the deal. I really do. I'm a big fan, dude.
I also think the alternative was ugly. Like, okay, so Kyle Tucker was both of our number ones on our free agent board.
Yeah.
But I think Cody Bellinger was far and away number 2. Like, there wasn't really a close my options behind him. I think I did a video on like the 5 guys I could see on the Yankees. 2 of them were Pablo Lopez and Joe Ryan. Didn't get traded. One of them was Kazuma Okamoto. He was 5th. Didn't end up signing him, but these were all a very distant, like this was a toss up for me. Peralta, I didn't know was going to get dealt or not. He would have made that top 5. Like whenever I was looking at this offseason board, Cody Bellinger was always ahead of everybody else. Except, like there were points that were considered Peralta over Bellinger or on the same level, but I don't think those two things ever interacted with each other in terms of like Peralta was going to make Bellinger unlikely, or Bellinger was going to make Peralta unlikely, or you needed Bellinger to sign to make Peralta happen. Like I didn't think those two things ever interacted with each other. When it came to position player fits, when Bichette was out there, I said the same thing. Like if you wanted to do a standalone signing, Bellinger's so clearly a better fit for you than Bichette because of the upgrade you're making over the player. You can't convince me Jazz Chisholm's a bigger problem than Jason Dominguez for your team next year. I don't even want to refer to them as problems. Jason is a decent player. I don't think he stinks, but like Jazz is clearly better. And I think there's also the excitement for us, Sam, personally. This is not fan talk. This is just what you and I do talk. We don't have to keep talking about tweeting updates.
No, thank God. Oh, my goodness.
Oh, my God.
Could you imagine? And I genuinely feel bad for our audience because it kind of reached to a point where we would post just like an update, and it would be like we would be regurgitating the exact same words every single day about a Bellinger spiel from some random writer, and the comments every day would be like, "You guys saying this again? Like, is this new news? Like, what's the deal? Why do you guys keep posting this? You guys don't even have a deal yet." So I felt bad for our audience because we were just spamming out of the exact same thing, but we're just trying to provide the news. You know what I mean? That's pretty much it. But like with the position player thing, Ryan, Curry blew that smoke out immediately. It was like, yeah, they're gonna check in with Bichette and like check in with Tucker, and they're not gonna sign a starting pitcher. If they trade for one, like if they get one, they're gonna trade for one. Like it would be like a Peralta or like a Ryan Weathers that they acquired. They were never gonna sign Tatsuya Amai, like bodies like that. This offseason was so like, this is Jack Curry's big win because everybody was dunking on Jack Curry the entire offseason, and the entire time he was.
I think
right,
Sam
but
may
we
have
believed that he was right because we wanted the Yankees to beat all these other guys.
You lagged out for a second, but you're
What?
back. You're all good. No, everything that you said got
Oh, did
out, so
I?
you're good. No, yeah, you're good though. You're good.
Okay, good.
Um,
Yeah, no, I was just saying congrats to
yeah,
Zach Curry. He was 110% right, and everybody was just kind of dunking on him, which is really irritating.
I think he
But like,
walked reporters down. Like he just walked there.
yeah,
He walked me down on a my man. He walked me down. Like, I thought we were gonna get him behind. He walked me down on national
yeah,
TV, bro.
dude,
But
like just hilarious. But the
yeah,
position player thing, bro, like they were never like you talked about with the big board. Like obviously, like, we wanted Kyle Tucker, but like it reached a point where it seemed unrealistic, and they weren't even in on him. But yeah, I mean, it was always Bellinger or bust after that, right? Like I didn't think, but the Bichette fit made sense. I think Akamoto would have been a lot of fun, but like you just traded for McMahon. Like, is he going to play first base? You have Rice. Like, what's the deal there? So the position player market was clearly always one of the outfielders, and I'm glad that they were able to bring this guy back and relatively fill a need that they would have had. I think that if he would have walked away, because positionally, when you look at their 9 guys, I think that if Bellinger would have walked, your left field slot is one of your weaker positions. It's probably one of your weakest outside of shortstop. So I think that was a huge get for them, and they needed to bring this guy back, and it was at a good number. And the offseason, honestly, like it probably played out the way Cashman wanted it to. Because realistically, when you look at the rest of the market and the guys that went off and the numbers that some of these dudes got, I don't know if Cashman and the Yankees were necessarily comfortable going to those lengths. And I don't think that we were either.
yeah, and I will also say, like, dude, some of the numbers given out in free agency were crazy. Some of the numbers that people were asking for, some of the trades that like I've heard the demands for were pretty crazy. Like the prices have been, this is a seller's market or like a free agent market. If you're a player or a team who wants to get rid of a player for a contender, you're in a good spot. If you're in a contender, you got to make some really difficult decisions this winter. Now, the one thing I also want to highlight here, Sam, when it comes to like how this relates to Bellinger in terms of cost and all that stuff, and what you would have lost out on if you lost him, everyone's talking about like, okay, if you lose out on Bellinger, you go all in for Freddie Peralta. And the thing I kind of realized in the last 48 hours, he's a fly ball pitcher. Could you imagine acquiring a fly ball pitcher with an outfield of Dominguez, Grisham, and Judge?
Absolutely not.
Like
absolutely not. Absolutely not. Because we know, yeah. I mean, because we know of like Dominguez's storied history as far as his outfield defense goes, especially in left field. And then Grisham, as he continues to age out, is just getting slower, and it did not grade out great defensively last year in center field. Like decent out there, but like guy can't move like that. He's called Big Sleep for a reason, dude. So like, yeah, it would have been gross, but like you're able to get Bellinger back, who plays a good left field. So I think you're a lot more comfortable now if you're able to acquire Freddie Peralta being a fly ball guy. So yeah, I didn't even think about that. That's a great point that you just brought. Like that would have been nasty. It would have been really bad, like, and nasty, not in a good way.
It's just, again, I really don't think people understand how important your defense is when you're trying to win baseball games and consistently win and put together a good pitching staff. This past season, among 52 qualified starters, Peralta had the 6th highest fly ball rate in baseball at 45.7%, only behind Jeffrey Springs, Robbie Ray, Andrew Abbott, Nick Pivetta, and Joe Ryan. So I know like a lot of people even talk about like Joe Ryan. That would have been a weird fit. Pivetta has been like out there. I don't think we're trading for Nick Pivetta, but even if you were going to say him, also not a good fit. If you were going to run out a bad outfield defense, look at the Dodgers in Game 7. That catch Andy Pajes made is the difference between Yamamoto blowing that game and him going down as a hero and the Dodgers going back to back. Like it seems so insignificant, but how many times did Bellinger's glove save you out there? I think about the Mets game where they're about to get swept in Citi Field, and Mark Leiter Jr., who is no longer on this team and was one of Sam's favorite players, I know that for a fact, he gives up a piss rocket to left field, and Bellinger just scoops it out of the ground and throws it to first for that double play. These plays matter, man. Like they do, and Bellinger is a plus defender. I also like the shape of his offense for this lineup, where it's very... it's a good average, good slug, good on base, and good contact rates. Like those are all things that matter to me when it comes to another guy in this lineup. I think the way he hits is important. I don't know what you think.
Yeah, I don't think he's like the biggest bat that like you would want behind Aaron Judge. Like he's obviously not a Juan Soto. I don't think you're ever going to get a pairing like that ever again. But I think that Cody Bellinger fits well with this offense. He fits well with the Porch. He had 29 homers last year. Like he fits well with this roster, I think, at the end of the day. I think he's a great fit offensively. I think he's a great fit defensively. I mean, granted, Ryan, before they got Bellinger last year, this is a guy that they talked about for like 3 or 4 years that they should have traded for. It was like when he was in Chicago, it was like, well, they're going to trade for him at this deadline. When he was on the market, it was like, are they going to trade for him? But then they ended up getting Soto. So it was like, that is a guy that they've wanted for a really long time, and he's relatively like a perfect fit for this team. And it's like, we kind of talked all offseason about Bellinger's fit with other teams, like him, playing in Citi Field would have been an awful fit. Like him playing in a bunch of different stadiums where like it just wouldn't make a ton of sense for his profile. Yankee Stadium, as far as his profile goes specifically, is just like carbon copy. Cody Bellinger, go hit 30 home runs every year. Like you're going to be okay. So for this roster, he's like the perfect guy that you would want. And again, like I'm very, the more that I like continue to talk about this move, the more I actually like it. I know that I kind of came out earlier and was like, yeah, like I love this thing. I think it's incredible. But like, obviously we get that instant shock of like, hey, the Yankees signed somebody and we've been waiting for 2 months for something to happen. Because I know that you've been on here every night, like just regurgitating. I was watching you last night, dude. You were so mad. You were so just like unenthusiastic and like, Bellinger this, Bellinger that. Like, when's Bellinger going to sign? And I've been doing the same thing, dude. Like, we just been kind of walking in mud for like the past like 3 weeks as far as like, well, when is something going to happen? Like, we got the Ryan Weathers pop last week, and that was like our biggest thing in 3 months, man. It's nuts.
Ryan Weathers being traded here was like one of the best things that could have happened for the content. Like, honest to God, dude, this was. And the way I look at this in regards to like doing these videos and these live streams and this content in general is it got to a point where it was literally the same information. And it was this, I think I said this on the podcast I dropped this morning with Jacob and Chris, where this topic comes up. And the thing that I started with was you have short-term money for the Mets. You have longer-term money from the Yankees. Pick a side. Pick what you want, and then Robert gets traded, and it's like, in my head, it was, dude, if you don't decide by tomorrow, you're just a prick. Like, go, like, you know what I mean? Like, come on, dude. Like, Let's get this thing done. It will be really funny. I saw this tweet, and I've got to credit. I'm going to credit the user because I thought it was pretty funny. Because this is how every press conference goes. It's from @FlopTower, which is like, it was never anywhere else in the press conference after the agonizing free agency is going to be hilarious. It's going to be really funny when he sits up there and says that. Like I always wanted to be a Yankee. Like it's going to be hilarious, dude.
You know it's going to happen.
Yes.
Like, it's 100% going to happen. And it's going to be like, well, this is where Cody always wanted to play and he loved playing here and he couldn't imagine himself playing for another team where he'd be like, dude, like then why did we like just kind of hang out for 2 months just waiting for you to go? Like
also him getting what 2.5 million more than the reported offer. Like can we think about how funny that is? Like Boris probably was like, okay, I don't want to take the offer that you've had here for 2 weeks. So give us 2.5 million more and we'll do it. Like that was a save face. That's
like it was going to be a stain or something. And like, the Bellinger Boris thing to me is like so funny because realistically, like I think about a couple of years ago when he got that like 3-year deal from Chicago after he hit the open market. And it was like, I assume because he had a really good year that year. That was like his like big bounce back year in Chicago. And it's like, oh my God, is Bellinger back? Like maybe he get a long-term deal here. And that free agency got dragged out just like this one too. And it was like, well, he kind of got screwed out of money here and then ended up getting like quote unquote salary dump last year to us. And then this is like his second round of free agency where Boris probably promised him too much money. Like Boris probably walked into this offseason, especially after seeing Kyle Tucker get $60 million. I said this on our episode last week. I was like, if Tucker got 60 for 4 years from the Dodgers, what's stopping Boris from looking at the Yankees and say, well, Bellinger can get 45 for 3 years? That's how much money that he can get right now in the open market. That scared me for like a hot second, like a very small second. But Boris like kind of undershot Bellinger on both of his free agencies. But like, I'm not going to complain about it. I think I'm okay.
Yeah. And again, I just think like, why can't, what team also in all this conversation when it comes to the money and the Yankees bringing Bellinger back, now what team is clearly better than you in the American League? Is there a team that's clearly better than you? I think you're the best team in the American League right now today. Like I don't know if that's crazy to say. I think you are right now today the best team in the American League.
You know, let me ask you a question.
Mhm.
And this is about Toronto, and this is kind of a
Yes.
question that it's kind of floated on my head over the past couple of weeks. How good do you think Toronto is? Do you think Toronto got better from last year? Like, do
I
you think that
think
they are a better baseball team from when they went to the World Series last year?
I think the team that played in the World Series for them is about as good as the team they have right now. You subtract Bichette from the World Series roster, and you add Cease, who is a clearly better pitcher than I think anybody else in the roster. Like I think he's clearly their best starting pitcher.
Yeah,
But
for
the
sure.
reason I sit here and I say this is not because I know the tired talking point of George Springer's going to regress. And I'm not saying he's not going to regress, but I do think he's a good hitter. Like, I think people always do. They do this with the Yankees too. Like, Trent Grisham isn't going to be that good. So if you run it back, they're going to not be good. It's like that. You have to look at every single player and then project their outcomes and then go from there. What I look at with the Blue Jays, and I sit here and I say, like, the rotation should be good, but it's not dominant. The bullpen should be good. It's not dominant. The lineup is good, but there are, like, it's not a perfect team. It's a good team. I think this team's going to compete for the American League, going to compete for the division. If they win the division, I'm not stunned, but you can point out a lot of flaws in that team that you could also point out with the Yankees. Like, everyone goes, if Aaron Judge goes down, what is the Yankees lineup? If Vlad goes down, what's the Blue Jays lineup? Springer, Barger, Santander, Kirk, Varsho, Okamoto, Clement, Jimenez, and like Davis Schneider.
It's not pretty.
It's not gorgeous. Now, if you put Vlad in there, it's a really good lineup, but everyone does that for the Yankees. So I'm just making the same argument against, division rival. I don't think they're unbeatable. I just don't. Like, I don't think they're unbeatable. I don't think that I expected them to get Kyle Tucker. So I guess that's part of it for me. I expected Kyle Tucker to be on the Toronto Blue Jays next year.
I think that's kind of part of the relief too. I think that we kind of because the Tucker reporting, the only reporting that was out there was, well, he visited the Blue Jays facility. So it was like, at that point, he's locked and loaded to go to the Blue Jays. And we were kind of scared of that all offseason, as far as you get Kyle Tucker, you're significantly better, right? Like, you get Cease and Tucker in the same offseason, you're significantly better. But even when, I look at the American League East, Boston just lost Bregman, Toronto obviously just retooled, but then they lost Bichette. Is Baltimore going to be able to compete there next year? I mean, Tampa Bay's just kind of there at this point now. I think I think you can probably confidently say that they will for sure compete for the division title next year. I think it's just going to be a rerun of next year. And I think that if a couple different things fall your way, I think that you're a lot better. Another kind of lost aspect of this is I think that their pitching staff on paper, when everybody's healthy, I think is one of the best in the sport. This is obviously, you don't know what you're going to get from Garrett Cole, but if you can get 75% of Garrett Cole, I think he's a really good 2 to 3 guy for you. You're going to see what Schlittler has in a second year. Obviously, Fried is what he is. He was incredible first year in pinstripes. And then Rodon, if he just continues this upward trend of being better than the last year than he kind of has been during his Yankee tenure, I think that you're going to have an awesome rotation. I think that the bullpen relatively has some questions too that you kind of want to middle out, but I kind of expect them to figure that out over the next couple of weeks, and they will have solidified arms in there. So I think that for sure that they can compete for a division title where, the other teams out there are kind of losing superstars. I think that it kind of flies under the radar that Toronto lost Bichette because of what they added early with Okamoto and with Cease. But I think that team on paper could be worse than they were last year. I don't think that they will be, but it's totally possible.
Again, it's not a referendum on the Blue Jays they suck. It's just more of a conversation of, are you what will odds and projections and what are these independent, objective measures of trying to outline how you're going to perform in the future? Are they going to predict that the Yankees or the Blue Jays are going to win the division? Yeah. With Bellinger back, I'm assuming most of them are going to have the Yankees ahead of the Blue Jays. And I'm not saying that to be dismissive of them. Don't think it's going to be by a significant margin. I think that all these teams are going to be within a 2 to 3 win window of each other in most projection models and all that stuff. I would even be shocked if it's 3 wins. I'd say it's closer to 2 wins. But this is where the Yankees' final month of this offseason comes into the spotlight here, because if you acquire a starting pitcher like a Freddie Peralta, if you improve your bullpen, maybe you add a bench bat, not really sure if that's going to happen, you do have clearly the best team in the American League. You're clearly better. Then you become clearly better than everybody else. Sam, what's your checklist for the Yankees at this point in time? What do you think should be next for the Yankees? Not just specific players. If you want to go specific players, that's fine. But positions, kind of what you're looking at if you're Brian Cashman.
Yeah, I think we would look at starting pitching. I think that is obviously like the biggest add, and it's probably the largest rumored thing that we've talked about this offseason as well. Obviously, even early in the offseason, we talked about adding a free agent arm if they were going to pivot away from Bellinger. Like we talked about Amaya for a long time. But now the conversation is relatively surrounding around like a Mackenzie Gore or Freddie Peralta or something like that. So I think that has to be up there. I think that you need to add right-handed hitting. That's obviously a priority that they've spoke about it nauseum, and even bringing back a guy like Ahmed Rosario, which I thought was a really good move for them this offseason. But I think if they added another right-handed hitter just to kind of balance that lineup out and be able to platoon a little bit more, I think they're relatively successful. And then if you can attack that bullpen in an impressive way, I think that's something else that would probably help you out as well. But if you add a Freddie Peralta, I think that they're far and away probably the best team in the American League. I think that you have to be considered the favorite at that point. Again, like I mentioned earlier in the show, you then create like a super rotation, right? Like that rotation on paper, like you should not lose in a 3, a 5, or a 7 game set. I think you're nuts, but I think that adding a pitcher of that caliber automatically makes you the best team in the American League. So yeah, I think that starting rotation, I think if they add another right-handed bat, and then like just you know how they pick and prod at that bullpen once in off season. I think that they haven't necessarily gotten to that yet. Obviously, they brought back like a Yarbrough who's going to like stretch for them a little bit, but I think if they're able to do that over, I mean, how many days is that? 10. We're 21 days out, Ryan, from everybody reporting on the 11th. So I think that they have a lot of stuff that they have to do in a very short window, but I've kind of seen them do better. I mean, the trade deadline last season was kind of nuts when they kind of pulled off like 6 deals in the span of 3 hours. So that's my checklist personally. Like, and I kind of want to ask you as far as the starting pitcher conversation, obviously all the smoke and all the conversation is about a Freddie Peralta because of how great he is and he's a rental deal and all that kind of stuff and what he's going to cost. Are there names outside of a Freddie Peralta, a Mackenzie Gore, a Joe Ryan that you would want them to attack, that you would be comfortable with them adding to their starting rotation, and we would look at it and be like, okay, they got better this offseason?
So, like the one niche name I've thrown out there, who I actually think is better than Gore, and he's also left-handed, Lodolo. Like I've talked about him being a guy they should look into. Not sure the odds of him getting traded are particularly high, which is part of that conversation. I would look at the Rays and Drew Rasmussen as like if he's expendable, trade for him, because you have cost-controlled big league pitching and you have outfield support. They just traded Josh Lowe, so their starting outfield right now is Cedric Mullins, Jake Fraley, and Chandler Simpsons. I know they're all left-handed, so I'm not sure how good of a fit that is for them, but do you think that you would let Chandler Simpson stop you from trading for Jason Dominguez? I wouldn't. Chandler Simpson, I don't think is particularly good at baseball.
Absolutely not.
Yeah, no. That's no disrespect to Chandler Simpson, but he's just as bad of a defender and he can't really hit. Yeah. And Rasmussen is going to make $4 million this year. He's got a club option for 27, so it's a pretty team-friendly contract. 2.76 ERA last year, 31 starts, 3.84 FIP, throws hard. His stuff looked good coming back from Tommy John. That's why he missed a lot of time in 23-24. He got Tommy John in the middle of 23, so it wasn't like a sustained stretch of injuries. It's really one injury in a 4-year window. And when he's been healthy, he's been really good. And he's pitched in the AL East. He pitched in a really tough ballpark to pitch in George M. Steinbrenner Field. It's Yankee Stadium on steroids in the summer because of that humidity. So you know he's not going to struggle in Yankee Stadium. I think it'd be like I look at him as, and this is part of the Freddie Peralta conversation where I don't think it's Freddie Peralta or bust. I would again take any offer the Brewers ask from me for Freddie Peralta, and if I'm comfortable doing that, I would shop it to a different team for an available starter. And I also would like to stress the fact that the Yankees are probably talking about pitchers that we don't know are available. I had no idea Ryan Weathers was going to be a New York Yankee or that he was available. And I also think you have to be careful for what you're trading for any of these pitchers, because I don't think you need to do something stupid to trade for a starting pitcher as well. You know what I mean? Like, I want them to get Freddie Peralta. I want to clarify this. I want them to make that home run addition. But you also cannot do something stupid for the sake, like something stupid isn't trading Heel or trading LaGrange. Something stupid is trading like LaGrange and Elmer and Heel for 1 year Freddie Peralta. I think that's stupid. Don't do that is essentially what I'm saying. And they don't have to anymore.
We want them to improve, but we don't want them to nuke. Like, there's no reason to absolutely nuke your future. Like, Freddie Peralta is not Juan Soto. Correct. I think that's kind of the like larger comparison. Like, When you were trading for Juan Soto, it was, okay, unload what you got. Like, get it out, do whatever you have to. Like, this is a generational type guy. Like, do whatever. Freddie Peralta's an incredible pitcher, got signing votes last year, but you're not going to nuke your entire roster because of it. And you're not necessarily sure what this roster is even going to look like after 26. I know that there's going to be a lot of moving pieces, and there's money that's coming off the books. And like, you have a Jazz extension or like a re-sign that you kind of have to get to next offseason as well. And we have a potential lockout that's going to upcome, but I don't really want to talk about that right now because that shit's scary. But like, you're not necessarily sure what this roster is going to look like over the next 3 years. So I don't really, it's not necessary for you to nuke out. I do want you to get better. I want you to add an incredible starting pitcher. If you hit that win button, you hit that win button and make them unbelievable. However, I don't necessarily sure how comfortable I am mortgaging their entire future to get better right now.
I will also say this in regard to the New York Yankees and their trade stuff. With Freddie Peralta, I think that number one, it was never contingent on like Jason. So I don't think this is changing their odds of acquiring him. But if a team is going to trade Freddie Peralta, the Yankees have what the Brewers are looking for. So that does give you a little bit of like that. Okay, at least we're in. The question is just how in our other teams, like the Dodgers and the Mets. And
right.
At least, again, hey, he can end up in the National League. He won't hopefully end up in the American League, not on the Yankees if he doesn't end up on the Yankees. I had a crazy thought come to my mind while I was over the weekend. This is not a rational thought, Sam. So I want you to just kind of hang on with me here.
Okay.
It kind of came out that, like, I think Buster only said like Scooble, like there's more noise about that. And I'm not saying the Yankees are going to trade for him. I 0% chance, I think.
Yeah.
But like you have a little more ability to trade out of your pitching side than you would.
Yeah, I mean, let's get weird. Let's talk about it.
Let me ask you something. If the Tigers said the supplementary pieces in this deal are like Dominguez and supplementary, not the main piece. It's like Jason Dominguez and Elmer Rodriguez are like the secondary pieces. They're second and third piece. And they said Cam Schlittler is the third piece. So it's a 3-for-1. Would you do that for Tarek Skubal?
Dude, I'm going to be completely honest with you.
Yeah.
I'm going to be so honest with you. And like people might disagree with me here. Okay. I feel like people are going to disagree with you either way. Because that's
this
heavy.
Bro. I had the thought.
However, listen, I love Cam, but I'm driving up the Jersey Turnpike. I'm putting him in my car and we're going to Detroit immediately. Like I mean, this is Tarek Skubal we're talking about here. This is the best pitcher in sport, right? Like outside of Paul Skeens, who like is a pipe dream that's never going to happen unless he ends up going to Los Angeles in like 4 years. Dude, like you got to pack. I mean, but this is different. Like that is the Juan Soto conversation, right? Like that is the Juan Soto conversation of like, yeah, you nuke everything that you have and like send them out and like and clip it. Yes, you will 110% do that. No doubt in my mind that you do that for Tarek Skubal. Will it happen? Absolutely not. No way.
I had the thought in my head of like, okay, if you have Ryan Weathers and Heel and Warren for enough years where you can have pitching depth and you can stomach that, like you have a 3-year with a college pick, you get 3 years with them until they become 40-man eligible. You'll have 3 years to find an Elmer replacement who was ranked as number 59 prospect in baseball. If you're trading essentially the number 59 prospect, a really one of the more valuable young pitchers in the game with 6 years of control, and then a good outfielder, or like a solid outfielder with 5 years of control, and they're all cheap. Like, I'm not saying it even, I don't even know if that gets it done. That's the funny thing. Like, my question is,
I'm going to be honest, it probably doesn't.
Right? Like, that's what I would imagine.
It probably doesn't.
Yeah.
It probably does not.
But like the thought definitely came to my mind, and I
for sure. But like,
to share it here.
I think that if you say no to that, I think you need to reevaluate yourself and how your baseball brand works.
Yeah.
Because that's Tarek Skubal we're talking about here. You know what I mean? Like, this is Tarek Skubal. It's not Freddie Peralta where you're like, okay, like, very good pitcher, possible extension candidate, that kind of stuff. This is the best pitcher in sport. If you have the opportunity to put the best pitcher on the sport on your team, you're going to say yes.
Yes.
That's like asking me, hey, Aaron Judge is on a 1-year deal. Would you trade for Aaron Judge on a 1-year deal?
Yeah, I mean, I would like,
right.
Like with Soto, like on paper, like, and this is where I don't really enjoy using like the baseball trade value simulator. I'm not dissing them. I'm just saying this is a scenario where I don't really think it's valuable. Right. When it comes to trading for superstars, the Soto thing, I think the Padres got more value in that model, and the Yankees destroyed them in that trade when it played out, because
for sure.
The upside of a superstar is incredibly high, and that's what the Yankees losing Juan Soto. Now, granted, part of that was Trent Grisham going out of nowhere to break out. Don't think we're getting a Trent Grisham in a Tarek Skubal deal, but I'm just saying, like, there's a gap in what Skubal is and Peralta is, in the sense that you will do something stupid for one. Do not do it stupid. Don't do something stupid for a non-superstar. I'm going to keep this consistent even if he's here. Freddie Peralta is not as good as Garrett Crochet or Tarek Skubal or Paul Skeens. He's not as good as a Max Fried. He is in the tier right below that, where it's like S tier, like game one, better than every other pitch, like the best pitcher on in any game he pitches in tier. Then there's the in game one starter, and then there's the like kind of faux ace, but more of a number two. Freddie Peralta is okay if he's game one, thrilled if he's game two kind of guy.
Do you see him in like a Dylan Cease on the same level?
Yes, I think he's.
I think that they are like counterparts. I think they're right next to each other. I think that probably makes the most sense.
And it's not to, again, this is not a diss on these guys. Like, if the Yankees had traded for Dylan Cease at like last year's deadline, I would have been thrilled. If the Yankees trade Freddie Peralta, I will be thrilled. It'll put them over the top for me in the American League. And like all the conversation about the Dodgers and all this, it's like, dude, they're in the NL. All the top players really just went to the NL, except for like Pete Alonso. He went from NL to AL. I think that's and Cease and Alonso are the best players to come from the National League to the American League.
Mm-hmm.
I thought Ketel Marte could have ended up in Boston. That would have scared the crap out of me. That's the things like it's back-to-back winners, honestly, 3 straight winners, where you avoided a scenario where a team that you're directly competing with for the American League or the American League East had a bigger, greater, all-time great offseason. And we do have a super chat here, and I do want to kind of touch on this as well. The Steel Trucker says, is there any chance of a Nico Hoerner trade? I want to thank you for the super chat. Sam, I think it's unlikely. I don't think the Cubs have an incentive to trade away one of their best players. What do you think?
No, not at the moment. There is zero reason for Chicago to go out there and deal Nico Hoerner. I mean, there's a successful player we're talking about right here. That's about to hit free agency. Like, why would Chicago deal him at this point in time? Would we love it? Yeah, 100%, because you could then take that player, you slot him in, that's your new starting shortstop. He's incredible. That lineup gets super deep. That's like Nico Hoerner will be perfect for this Yankee team. However, the Cubs have no incentive to trade him. They have zero incentive to trade him right now. And if you're the Yankees too, think about this, Ryan. If you're going to trade for Nico Hoerner, right, he's going to expire at the end of this year, and then Jazz is going to expire at the end of this year too. You then, when you trade for Nico Hoerner, I'm assuming he's your starting shortstop, right? Like, that is directly where he would slot in. Your middle infield's then on the market. And then when you look at the class next year, regardless of the lockout or not, they're probably the top 2 position player guys on the market. So then from a Yankees perspective, you trade for this guy, the two of them immediately hit the market the offseason after, and then you have to bring both of those guys back. So then you're in, again, another weird situation where you have to dish out a ton of money. Because I think Nico Hoerner's a guy that you would bring in and you're like, yeah, like, I think we want to keep him for a long time because that's a very good baseball player. But Chicago has no incentive to trade him.
I would look at Bellinger, Hoerner. God, I don't have to. Oh man, I'm so scarred of like talking about Bellinger as a
it's
guy.
It's just Bellinger. I'm
gonna need like therapy. That's what I need. This is up there with some. I'll refer to some other things later. That's like up there with the.
Oh yeah, for sure.
But Hoerner is. If Hoerner was the Yankee shortstop tomorrow, I would take this team all the way, baby. Like I'm putting on the fan hat, you know. And
they're probably the best team. They're the best lineup in the American League if they get Nico Hoerner.
But it's kind of like the same logic. You mentioned Jazz. It's also the same logic as to how I would talk about if another fan of a fan of a different team, let's say, I don't know, the Mets, I don't know, the Braves, the Phillies, teams that could like use an infielder. I guess the Mets can't anymore, but like the Braves or like the Phillies, if they're like, hey, I want Jazz Chisholm, like, would you trade Jazz Chisholm? Be like, no, we want to win. Let's no. And I'm sure that's how a Cubs fan would react and how they should react. Like,
correct.
I wouldn't be annoyed. Like, I think I have the maturity level to not go, what the hell's wrong with you? I'd be like, no, I don't think the Yankees, it makes sense for them to trade Jazz. So I'm personally not interested.
Yeah.
But I understand if you're a Cubs fan, you're like, these pompous Yankee fans, they think they can get everybody they want. This is our guy. Like, this guy rocks. And yeah, I love Nico Horner. But next free agency, I will be annoying about Nico Horner. I will be like, yeah, we have
110%.
Like,
yeah,
he's mine. You know what I mean?
think that the conversation next offseason is going to be really interesting, especially with Nico Horner. But like, are they going to deal for him right now? I don't think so. And I also think that price would probably be sky high. I think we're probably talking about a price that we're not comfortable paying personally. I think that you're mortgaging a lot on Nico Horner. So no, I don't think that happens. And you're also adding another infielder. You're adding another infielder. Is a team going to take an Anthony Volpe back in a trade? Like, you just traded for Caballero last season. You just traded for McMahon. Like, what's your vibe there? You know what I mean? Like, it's like how, like, there's too many guys there. And unless you're seeing a body go out, like, is Anthony Volpe going to get dealt somewhere? And they just re-signed Ahmed Rosario. So, like, there's a million infielders. Like, what's the plan?
Also, like, I think the average fan would agree that, Anthony, like, if the Yankees got Anthony Volpe in a trade right now, I think a lot of Yankee fans will be upset. So, not saying that he's got, like, I'm just saying, like, if the idea is use Volpe as a piece to help you get Horner, it's like, so you think he has value, which means you don't think he completely stinks. But I don't think a lot of fans would admit that, which is fine. Like, I don't think you have to like Anthony Volpe. I'm just saying he's either someone who's valuable or not. You know what I mean?
Correct.
He's either is or isn't. And I think that, again, he's coming back from shoulder surgery or labrum surgery. If I was a team, I'd be like, this guy is coming off a down year and is coming off a significant injury. Like, I'm not trading for that. I don't know what he's going to be. And that's not unreasonable at all. So the one thing I do think is interesting, Sam, and I know that, we're kind of getting past the hour point here. We'll start winding down here soon, but the Yankees with $317 million payroll. Predict the opening day payroll. Do you think it will get higher than this by a significant amount or under this?
I don't think by a significant amount. I think that even the guys that they're talking about dealing for, I don't think the guys that they're talking about dealing for are not going to be unbelievable, right? Like, it's not going to be heavy. Like, isn't Freddie Peralta like super cheap? Isn't he like 4 M's or something? Or am I wrong in saying that?
Peralta's $8 million.
Okay, he's 8. Okay, so I'm sorry about that. Okay,
yeah.
But like Gore's 4. So like the number that you're going to bring back in if you acquire a starting pitcher is going to be like super cheap. Like, maybe you look at 325, but like, I don't think that they probably don't sign another free agent that's going to be super expensive. Plus at that point, like, you're playing against the luxury tax. Like, this was their big signing. Like, this was who they were going to bring back. And they kind of made that evidently clear from the beginning of the offseason. Like, hey, if we're going to add to payroll this year, it's going to be this guy, and that's going to be pretty much it, which we kind of knew. And, like, if they made additions around and they, like, bring other guys in, like, I think it could get higher than the 317. It could get lower. They could trade somebody in the active roster. Like, we don't know what's going to happen. But I think that it probably ends up being higher, but I don't think it's, like, crazy higher. I think they could end up at, like, a 325. I mean, 325 is probably, like, realistic and, like, makes the most sense.
And I'm pretty sure it'd be their highest payroll ever.
Yeah.
Right? We do have a super chat for and this is in Dominican pesos, which
thanks, Joe.
Appreciate you, man. This is Alcantara MD95. That means a doctor. That's pretty sick. Hal's Yankees never go the extra mile, running back the same team as last year while everyone but them improved. Actual standards are in the garbage. Sam, what are your thoughts on the team running it back offensively? Because it is 1-for-1 the same lineup they had in game 1 of the ALDS last year. Like, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, in the regular season, statistically the best offense in the American League. But I think that when you kind of look at their 9, there are a lot of questions. Like, you don't know what you're going to get from a second year of certain guys. Like, I think that you would continue to see Ben Rice improve, and I think that he could be another excellent player for you. But like, will he get Greg Bird syndrome at some point and just not be a good baseball player anymore? Obviously, we really hope not. But like, what are you going to get from a second year of Ben Rice? Is Jasper Jr. going to run back and still, A, play as many games as he did for you in 2025, and B, is he still going to hit as well? I don't think that he's going to fall off a cliff, but I think that, there's still questions about him consistently being great. I think he's still going to be awesome. Like, he just won a Silver Slugger, but like, you don't know. Who knows? Your shortstop position is interesting because obviously you're going to have Volpe coming off of the shoulder injury. And then like, I think what you got from the Cab, like, we were obviously like really big fans of the Cab because of what he was when he came over. And it was like kind of like a spark plug in and was just like, a lot better than what Volpe was at the time. But like, realistically, like, Ryan, I think we could probably project him for like a 660 OPS and like really good defense, which is going to be fine. I think that Ryan McMahon's going to be a lot better from when he came over. Like the hard hit stuff, like you really like from McMahon, you're going to hope that he can really use that short porch and like pop 25 a year, play good defense and like be okay. Is Austin Wells going to bounce back from a really poor year last year offensively, a step back from what he was in his rookie season? We think that he can be that way, but like you got to show it to me. And then the outfield, I don't have a ton of questions about. I think Bellinger is going to be like from Bellinger's early years when he like struggled and was like horrible and was like 400 OPS guy in 2021. I think that he's kind of evened out to be like you're going to get like an 820, 830 OPS, like a 125 WRC plus, like 30 bombs a year type stuff from that guy. Like that's why I really like Bellinger as the player. Obviously, I think Big 99 is going to be Big 99, and then you can. I don't necessarily think that you can project Grisham to hit the 33 or 34 home runs that he hit last year, but I think you could probably look at him for 25. So I think that there remains to be a lot of questions as far as like repeat seasons and are guys going to bounce back? Are people going to maintain what they were in 25? But I think that on paper, like last year, statistically, they were the best team in the American League offensively. They won the Team Silver Slugger Award for a reason. So I think that offense is I think that offense is great. I think they're still going to be great in 25.
And I happen to agree. I think the offense will be really good next year or this upcoming year. God, it's 2026 already. So we're here. We're here. We're a couple weeks away, Sam. So we're here.
Yeah.
I think at the end of the day with this offense, I think this is a good offensive group. We'll see what they end up producing in 26, but I think I think you judge a roster really by their worst player, and their worst player is in some years entering last year was Oswald Peraza, Pablo Reyes. Not good enough. Their worst player right now on the roster with Bellinger back is either JC Escarra or Oswaldo Cabrera. I think Escarra is a better player than Peraza and Reyes, and I think Oswaldo is a better player than Reyes or Peraza. And when Volpe comes back, he will be in contention for your worst player. That is a better player than also Peraza and Reyes. I don't think people, correct. I know people are going to say, well, they're all bad. Like, no. There's degrees to bad. There is Oswald Peraza bad, and then there's like Oswaldo Cabrera, not really a guy you want playing every day. There's a difference. There's a very, very big difference. Your worst pitcher on the roster, is it Caleb Ort, even though you can just cut him tomorrow and when guys come back. So on the position player side, your worst player right now is Oswaldo Cabrera or JC Escarra. I think that's a pretty good sign for what the roster is right now.
Yeah, correct. I think you're super comfortable with that. You know what I mean? Like at the end of the day, this is not a bad roster. I think it's a very good roster. Guys, we could watch the Rockies.
Yes.
If we want to watch a bad baseball team, we can go watch the Rockies every day. But we don't. We're going to watch the Yankees, and they're a really good organization. It's a really good baseball team still that consistently makes the playoffs. Like, this team is still very good. This team is still very, very good.
I think there's a difference between wanting them to be great and thinking like wanting them to be great and saying, hey, they're good. They have to be great, though. That's the goal. That's the Yankee standard. And there's a difference between that and, trying to and saying, hey, like they suck. And I'm with the camp of I want them to be great. It's why I want them to get Peralta. It's why I want them to try and get a starter. It's why I want them to get better relievers or add one more guy to the bench, maybe replace a Scar with a right-handed hitting catcher. I want these things because I want them to be great. But I'm not going to pretend they're bad because they're not great. There is a middle ground there. And I think with the Bellinger signing, they've put themselves in a pretty good position to go back to the postseason this year. And hopefully, maybe there's a couple other moves there. Sam, any final thoughts on Bellinger coming back before we depart?
I'm just happy, and I'm glad that it's over, that we don't have to keep spam posting about it. I think that we'll do it for the rest of the day today and just kind of get over the excitement of Bellinger coming back, which I think is still a big get for us, guys. I still think at the end of the day, this is a huge free agent signing. I know that it's weird because he was here last year and it's a re-signing, but I mean, this is still, I think this is a great player that's going to play for the Yankees for the next, hey man, maybe it's 2 years and we catch an opt-out. Hats off, Brian Cashman, excellent job. Definitely had, I am like number one Cashman truther. I know that people hate Cashman, but I am like number one Cashman truther. I think he's incredible at his job, and I think that he did an incredible job here with the contract structure here. So, Ryan, it was an absolute pleasure joining you on here. I know I'm never really on here, but I had a lot of fun. So thank you for having me.
I always love having you on, man. And for you guys at home listening, thank you for tuning in the middle of the day. It was 2 o'clock when we started or 1 o'clock, 1:40, 1:50 when we started streaming. and you guys are here. We really appreciate your support. Please like and subscribe. Whether you agree, whether you disagree, join the conversation by subscribing. We have a community tab where we throw up posts and you guys can interact with those. We're going to go live again tonight or have a video where there's going to be another piece of content coming out tonight to kind of map out what's next and talk about that. But we really appreciate your support. Like, subscribe, turn on that notification bell. Links to our social medias are in the description. We've got the mastermind behind our social medias right here in Sam, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, Facebook, and of course this YouTube page. And finally, make sure to check out our independent Twitters. Mine's at Ryan Garcia ESM, and for Sam, it's at Sam Lucchini ESM. That is Luck, Luckini, for the last name. Appreciate you guys so much for tuning in, and we'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out, everybody.